There's been a lot of non-political news the past few weeks, so much so that you might have missed what could be a seismic development in the politics of healthcare reform. This ad from embattled Democratic Senator Mark Pryor of Arkansas in a race that could determine control of the Senate.
When Mark was diagnosed with cancer, we thought we might lose him.
My family and my faith helped me through the rough times.
But you know what? Mark's insurance company didn't want to pay for the treatment that ultimately saved his life.
No one should be fighting an insurance company while you're fighting for your life. That's why I helped pass a law that prevents insurance companies from canceling your policy if you get sick or deny coverage for pre-existing conditions. I'm Mark Pryor, and I approve this message.
And again, put that in context. That's Mark Pryor, a Democrat running in Arkansas, not just embracing Obamacare, but using it as a selling point, and not like so many other Democrats running away from it. Combine that ad with lots of recent good news about health care reform. The New England Journal of Medicine says 10 million previously uninsured Americans now have coverage thanks to Obamacare. And there's word that Obamacare is slowing the cost of health coverage. Two caveats. One, costs are still rising. They're just rising more slowly than they did before. Second of all, employers continue to save money on health care by making workers pay a larger share. Still, two clear signs that Obamacare is working. But if it is, that news hasn't been getting out to voters. A recent poll showed Obamacare getting the lowest level of support since the bill became law, though individual benefits like protections for pre-existing conditions or some of the points that Senator Pryor was making in that ad remain individually popular. When you bundle it all together and ask people whether they like Obamacare, Jeannie, the answer seems to be no.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so interesting. I thought that this ad by Pryor was one of the really big advances in this election, a really big moment in this election. Not only does it remind you what an amazing politician his father is and was, but it also is really the first Democrat to embrace Obamacare. We have to note without saying the word Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, which is important. And that speaks to the issue of this poll. When you ask people, do they like Obamacare, they say no. But when you ask them if they like aspects of Obamacare without naming the act, they say yes. And that's why I think what we're going to see is as people think about what they're getting out of the bill rather than thinking about the bill itself, the bill is going to sustain itself.
Don't get carried away here, guys. What the president did was, by executive order, probably illegally, take out all the bad parts that would have showed up before this election. Some of the taxes, some of the increased rates that are going to affect wealthier people. So, no, the jury's still out here. There are logical reasons why people should not like the bill. There are reasons why they should like parts of the bill, and he was smart. He took the best part.
Do you think we're going to start seeing more candidates, particularly in embattled states like Arkansas, Louisiana, North Carolina? Do you think we'll start seeing greater embrace from Democrats?
He voted for the bill.
Right.
Everybody in Arkansas knows he voted for the bill, so he better defend it.
Does that take the sting out of the opponent's claim? Because if the opponent then tries to label Pryor or anybody else in that position as being, well, he voted for Obamacare, he voted for Obamacare, Pryor can say, yeah, I did. Here's why. I already showed you why.
It doesn't take the sting out. It's still a very valid issue in a state like Arkansas to campaign against on, but it takes a negative and spins it into middle ground, maybe a little bit of a positive. But if I'm running against him, if I'm the Republican running against him, I still very much would make it an issue. As the congressman said, you voted for it. I mean, on any given issue, you can't get away from it.
I had a friend who was distraught. His rates went up about threefold based on his income last year. He made no money this year, and his rate went way down. He spent a whole day in shock that his rates went up 3 times. And in the end, but next year he's going to be making a lot of money. His rates are going to go up 3 times.
As the Obamacare debate went on, we heard from a lot of people that eventually it may become something like Social Security or Medicare, where it wasn't liked at the beginning, but eventually people will come to like it and want it. In fact, I think even Ted Cruz said we got to make our stand based on that before people come to like it too much. You don't think we're there yet? You think the jury's still out?
We're not there because the bill hasn't. See, in order for the president to pass the bill, he had to get Democratic votes. He had to make so many bad deals. For instance, if you are part of an organized labor group, you don't pay the penalty for the Cadillac plan. But if you're someone not part of organized labor, you pay a huge penalty for your Cadillac plan. That never should have happened, but that was the way he needed to pass it to get the Democratic votes.
Now, we mentioned that the control of the Senate was very much up for grabs. Republican Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, he's also locked in his own tight race in Kentucky. So he's now talking tough on his plans for what he would do if Republicans win the Senate in November and he becomes majority leader. And stop me if you've heard this before, he's threatening to shut down the government again. In an interview, McConnell said his game plan is to attach requirements to budget bills and other measures that keep the government open, measures that will, in his words, rein in Obama administrations like EPA regulations and other things, and force the president into a corner, either sign the bill, which limits his own power, or issue a veto and trigger what would eventually become a shutdown. Congressman, is there a danger to your party in playing chicken with the shutdown here?
He should talk about why he wants to do it, not the outcome. We had huge battles with President Clinton in the late 90s, and the government shut down. But in the end, we got, and the president got, a bill that was balanced for the next 4 years. We had no debt for 4 years. We were bringing in surplus because we forced the president to go to a certain point, and he forced Congress to back off a little bit, and you ended up with a really darn good 4 years.
Is this positioning for what happens if he does take over and sort of setting a very conservative position, forcing the president to meet him? Is this his own internal politics trying to win his election?
I think this is more his own internal. Eric Cantor admittedly lost in a Republican primary, and he lost in part because he was viewed as being too much into Washington. But the other reason was they wanted him to, really go after Obama and what he's done, and they blamed Cantor for what Obama did. That's what they did. So I think this is more a Senate race.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And, I think this is a big danger sign for Republicans. I wish Republicans would get out and talk more about what they want to do in a positive sense. President Obama, and why? President Obama is in many people's minds, especially after November, a real lame duck. I mean, accepting crises and things that he's going to be addressing. People are going to be looking to the future, especially if Republicans take the Senate and they want to take the White House. They really have to say what they're going to bring to the table and not just fight against Obama, because he's going to become something of a past issue, and they need to be forward-looking.
Democrats immediately started fundraising as soon on the issue, on the quote that McConnell gave as soon as he gave it. Is this the kind of thing that can jumpstart the Democrats? And do people still remember the shutdown? Is there still a bitter taste?
I don't know if there's still a bitter taste. I mean, I think the insiders remember the shutdown, and perhaps some of the special interest groups remember it in terms of the impact and so on, like unemployment that was going to be cut off and so on. But for a majority, I think folks are wrapping up their summer looking for. That's why they say campaigns don't really start until after Labor Day. And so I think McConnell is feeling a little bit of Eric Cantor land, and he's in the fight of his life.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here on RFL. When we come back, Jimmy Carter warned us about it. The question is, has it finally taken effect? Are we dealing with malaise in America? We're going to weigh in on that topic when we come back.